Okay, welcome to the Rambling Ranting Review Hour. Now, we have a special segment. Zavul has caught up on Berzerk through the power of the pandemic. Zavul, what? So we were going to talk a little bit, I'm curious what you thought of Berzerk with like all the more recent stuff. And then we'll talk about the post-Miura stuff, which I think will have an opinion that goes against every Berzerk fan on the internet right now.
Really? Interesting.
I really enjoyed catching up, and I thought, as unfortunate as man died, I thought that the place where they left off was thematically, at least, a really good spot to end the manga. It's a bittersweet ending. Casca is alive and finally whole and healed, is back to doing cool shit. There's resistance forming against Griffith's supposedly perfect world. And Guts has to kind of grapple with what he wants to be and maybe accept the fact that while he was willing to fight for the people he cares about, that constantly going after revenge to the detriment of both himself and the people he cares about isn't a good thing. That he should be fighting to protect the people he loves and himself, as opposed to just ripping up everything in his path, trying to kill somebody, and destroying all the people he wants to keep safe in the process, just in the process of doing that.
Sorry, which part do you feel like would have ended the series?
The chapters before he died. Well, it almost would have worked, except for the fact that they had like that last panel where the Moonlit Child turns into Griffith, crying Griffith.
Yes.
I remember when I read that, I was like, "Fuck!"
I know, me too.
Because like Zavul Scott, you're right. I would have accepted that as a bittersweet ending. You didn't complete what you wanted, but like you gave Guts like a satisfaction. He can't be with the woman he loves, but he got her back. He's trying to figure out what he can do. There's a semblance of some sort of magical resistance against Griffith's false utopia, which has yet to dissolve into a dystopia, but always, we know it's just a question of when he's going to throw humanity to the wolves, to whatever his greater castle is. But that could have served as a bittersweet ending to the series that, like, we would have been fine with, before the tragic passing of Miura.
Yeah.
Did you have any particular favorite arcs of like the new stuff you read? Like, did you like the scene where they're like escaping from the port, or where Zod teams up with Guts to fight the Gishinka, or when the Gishinka becomes like the World Tree, and then all the armies of Earth team up with the Apostles to fight him?
When you say the new stuff, you mean
when
Miura?
Yeah,
during
Miura's time. When I mean new stuff, I mean the stuff that, like, because I think the last run of Berzerk you got up to like the end of the Inquisition, but you hadn't seen, or maybe you hadn't seen like the troll stuff or the parts after like he gets the Berserker armor, I think.
I think we can all agree that the best character in Berzerk is the Schnoz.
Is the what?
the Schnoz monster, the infamous Schnoz monster, who for some reason became a meme.
The Schnoz monster? Which one was that?
The little monster. It's Mr. Schnozo. He's like an what you call it? He's in like the Quilplith alternate dimension.
The thing with 2 legs, ears, and a giant nose, that it's like, I see we're going into the dark, evil realms, and the first thing you see is this, like, completely harmless fucking thing.
I don't remember that at all.
Just type in Schnoz Berserk and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And
He does look like he's designed
uh,
to be turned into plush. He is kind of like to become this meme character.
it is entirely harmless. It's like literally everything else in the hunt for the trolls is just like these horrendous, horrific murder machines. These like terrifying claw teeth monstrosities, and then there's this poor fucker.
Oh yeah, this thing. That was cute.
Yeah, the best character in Berserk. Completely incapable of harming or raping anything.
That is really cute, actually.
I don't think it has a mouth. Like, yeah, it doesn't have a mouth, so it can't bite you. It doesn't really have like arms, so it can't like punch you or like rip your face off or anything. It got these little stumpy legs, no dick. So yeah, it's the best character in Berserk. Completely incapable of harming anything.
He's certainly the most cuddly character in Berserk. I can completely understand that logic.
Oh god, that is so sad.
But was there any moments of like the new stuff that you read, like when Fantasia becomes real, or the Sea God, or Casca getting her memories back and like going into that like dream?
Oh god, I really did like the Casca getting her memories back. That was
totally
fantastic. That was a cool moment for I guess the female cast, Shrike and Casca, actually being able to do some stuff and kind of step into the spotlight for a little bit.
And Farnies.
Yeah, Farnes actually getting a chance to do something useful.
It was definitely a very proud Bechdel test passing moment of yeah, you're right. It was kind of like the female power hour of Berserk.
I talked to Isaac about that chapter a while ago, or about those chapters a while ago, and I actually looked up like a lot of like dream interpretation analogy based on how Miura like visually depicted those chapters, and a lot of it really actually did hit the nail in terms of dream interpretation. He must have studied a lot of like this dream interpretation psychology stuff while he was drawing while he was like planning like this storyline. So I thought that was really cool.
I will say I fucking hate Isidro.
They hate the what?
Remember
hate what?
Isidro, the little kid?
Isidro.
Oh yeah, he's just
That's right, Isidoro.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I was it was funny in like the post Moira chapters. I was so happy when it looked like maybe Puck's dead. Maybe Puck's dead. Fuck yeah, they got rid of him. Yeah, along with all the elves. That would be the one smart decision they did. And then he pops up like, fuck no.
I have to say, since Miura's death, like Berserk has been feeling very odd. Like there's not a lot of what is it called? Disposition?
You mean exposition?
Of like what's exposition of like what is actually happening visually. So sometimes there's like a lot of confusion with like Elfham disappearing, like what exactly like is visually happening. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. And then like the dark spirits that were there that were eating humans too, why were they there?
Yeah,
Um,
so let's get it. Let's rip the band-aid off. A lot of Berserk P fans are like really happy and appreciative, like, "Oh, Studio Gaga, you're doing such a great job. Kentaro Miura's manga friend, thank you. We're getting at least an ending to this lifelong saga." People were like, depressed over the fact that there are like Berserk fans who died before getting to see Casca get her memories back or see Guts get off the boat, because it's been such a long-lasting, the strongest fantasy comic. And so generally, people are like, "Oh, this is so emotionally devastating that Guts Griffith is there," and I'm like, "You guys, you're not seeing the bigger picture. These are all red flags. These are all warning signs. These are bad story choices. Like the thing has not been ruined, but I could already see like." The red sirens are blaring. The red flags are flying. The wow, hack alert, hack alert. You could definitely see that, like, one, Moira wouldn't just have, like, Griffith come back and be evil. Two, Griffith had the opportunity to kidnap Casca when he met him back at the Sword of, the Hill of Swords back in, like, 200 chapters ago, and he didn't give a shit. Why the fuck does he give a shit now? Why does he care about kidnapping Casca? He's beyond her. He's beyond Guts. He literally told him, "I don't fucking care about you."
It seems like the significant thing that did happen was Casca regained her mental like faculties.
Yeah, but how the fuck is he supposed to know that? Also,
well, he's trapped. Apparently, his spirit was within this child, so he was connected to the child. The child,
and he was just like using this child as like a remote peon to like have her consciousness come back, and then he pops in. It's just like that logic. Just, like, it sounds dumb.
But
yeah,
it can make sense because, like, why, you.
I'm not saying this is unsalvageable. I'm saying that the direction this is going is not great. Like, okay. You basically said that you don't care about Casca. The entire point was Guts having to decide between protecting the people he loves, or charge face first into situations that could maybe sort of kind of further his revenge desires, but stand a really heavy chance of hurting the people he cares about. And so, like, the end where we left off was Guts kind of having to grapple with that and going, while I would love to kill Griffith, I think it's more important that I protect the people who I have come to care about. And Guts and Griffith just showing up and going, "Yeah, I've suddenly grown a mustache. Now pardon me while I kidnap your woman and tie her to the train tracks. All of the agency she gained while regaining her memories is gone. She is once again the fucking MacGuffin."
So I think if Miura was still alive, he would be able to better explain why Griffith suddenly wanted to capture Casca.
I think if Miura was alive, he would have had the sad child who was crying. Like, that would be like the last of Griffith's humanity. It would plead something to them, warning about what Griffith's larger ulterior motive was, and then we'd kind of get like a revised version of like the apostle attack on the witch's hollow. We'd get like a version of that, only it would be like the sorcerer elf island versus like Griffith's sea army or whatever. I don't think he'd just have Griffith come and just like pick up Casca. It just feels like the
also
sorry I can think sorry, what did you want to say?
Also, it's fucking weird that they made such a huge deal about time passing differently in the elf islands, and that just not really mattering when Griffith just shows the fuck up. Like, I thought that maybe he needed to grab her because a prolonged period of time passed, and he went, "Oh shit, I actually do need her for something," and then we'd like find out what, and then we get to see fuck, what's his
Yeah,
name? Ricket.
Rickard.
Yeah, like older version of Ricket.
Yeah, then we get like to see like an older version of Ricket, and like as like they bring Casca back, it becomes apparent that there is just this massive civil war, and maybe he's like, yeah, kind of need her for a fucking hostage, or kind of need her for like insert whatever like ridiculous bullshit that he would need her for. And Ricket is now like, I don't know, like 35 years old, grizzled, covered in scars, basically like his own mini guts. And Casca coming back is basically designed to be, to further some sort of goal that Griffith has because of this time lapse. It's like, it's not just like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm here to piss you off. I'm taking your woman. Fuck off and die. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's been like 20 years. I kind of need that.
So, okay. So, I want to say that I think Miura had a much more simple. I think he had much more simple reasons for why he might have Griffith kidnap Casca then. But I think at a certain point when he transformed back into the from the child into his Griffith form, like that last panel he was like crying, right? I think Griffith, he realized like how much he missed Casca, and I think Miura probably would have tried to portray it as Griffith wanting to bring Casca with him to show, look what I've accomplished, Casca. I'm so glad I've missed you so much, and I'm so glad you're well again. And look at what we've accomplished here. These are all my accomplishments, Casca.
Well, all right. So let me chime in a little bit. I could kind of see that a little bit if it like Griffith was like kind of going back into his like fuck you guts. I'm a spiteful little bitch. Even though I have this whole fantasy kingdom, the fact that you have Casca and I don't have her, and I just want her back because I have to have everything, and
I don't think it's necessarily even out of spite. I think it's just like Griffith really wanted to make amends with Casca, and he missed her.
But I don't think
even
before the eclipse, I don't think he ever really loved Casca. He just loved her because she was the desire of Guts's affection, and he just liked her as a tool of like spite. In that like sad scene where he like dry humps her when she's like trying to tend to his wounds after he gets out of the torture chamber.
I guess so. In some ways, yeah. I mean, but because Griffith has been observing the party through this child, apparently, right? Throughout this whole time, I feel like something might have changed within Griffith from doing something like that, and that I feel like Miura would have been able to depict far better than his
because like I think that's what I would compare it to is like the ball hasn't been dropped, but this reminds me a lot of the Promised Neverland when we got the explanation of what the demons were, and then we're like, oh wow, this is kind of disappointing. Oh god, I hope it still gets better from that. And that was kind of like the red flag that like the world building was going to collapse in on itself.
Yeah.
And like it really does feel like what a Berserk fan would want versus the creator of Berserk would do. Like, Griffith, Griffith
Right.
looks like his evil version, like, version from fan art. He looks like and Muera did it. Maybe he would have been able to sell it better and have like a more emotional core or esoterically vague reason, because like Griffith is a character you can never quite fully understand, especially now when he's like this demi-human.
Right.
But like the way it's done now, we're just like, yeah, I'm taking your girl. I'm gonna
Right,
look
exactly.
evil. And like, I really hated that Elf Island was destroyed by like the blobs from the Conviction arc. One, it's creatively unfulfilling and it's
Yep.
fucking lazy, and it just shows that like the assistants, all they could do is just reuse shit we've seen before. They can't create new things. And even to the very end, Muera was always adding new shit to his universe. Even if it's like a chapter where like Griffith fights a bunch of giants, like, Muera's version of giants felt cool and unique. They had like buildings and wore them as hats, and they were cool and grungy, and this Mad Max chic. He was always adding new fantasy creatures and putting his own spin on them. But I feel like the talent of Studio Gaga is not capable of introducing any new creature designs, and all they could do was just like try and replicate the art that came before.
Yeah. And I want, and even saying all that, I still, admire the assistants at least trying to emulate his vision, and not just leaving us forever in wonder of like what could have been. At least they're failing to interpret what Miura's vision is, and yeah, to me, I still appreciate that, even if they are failing.
One thing.
badly.
I guess I'm appreciative. I always like closure versus nothing. I just hope that like at the end of this we get like Muera's scrap notes so we can know what like the story notes were, because it's interesting. There's this sci-fi series that Scott introduced me to that I love called War Against the Ch'tur. It is like 4 books, and the whole premise is that it's about an alien ecology that's like slowly taking over and terraforming Earth. So every time it just keeps on, more and more advanced creatures show up. They assimilate more humans. It's like this kind of terraforming, all-inclusive life that is completely alien and foreign. There are 4 books to the series. There's supposed to be 7. David Gerard does not seem to give a fuck about finishing it. Ever. Which pissed me off. But to like fucking keep a roof over his head, he offered like $90 to get his like pitch so you could find out what happens in the other books and some shit he hasn't released yet. So I paid the $90, and I may never get to read those Ch'tur books, but at least I know how the series was supposed to end. So I feel like a sense of closure. I feel a little less angry at the world.
So, wait, did you say that someone else?
No
finished
one.
the series?
No one. He won't. He's the only one who's going to finish the series. But he sold a thing. I shared it with Scott. Where he basically, I had to pay $90 to like get this like collection of bundle books, which had PDFs of like his original outline for all the books, and a few extra chapters that hadn't been published.
Yeah. I mean that was cool. I cannot believe you did that, but that was.
I guess that's what I have to consider this, like the little distinguished, the hand scraps of what the outline of the bullet points of what Muera wanted to do.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So I hope it doesn't ruin the series. I hope somehow Muera's vision gets through, but I'm not happy with any of the chapters I've gotten. Any final thoughts from either of you two?
No, that was it.
Yeah, I hope Guts is able to crawl out of his depressing hole right now.
The people were like,
His like crippling depression.
people were
right
like,
now.
"Oh my God, Guts got Yamcha'd. Oh, this is so depressing. Oh no."
yeah. He's in the Yamcha pose right now.
That became a little bit of a meme. All right, so that is our thoughts on the current state of Berserk. 10-second pause, and then we will get into One Piece.